What is up, everybody? The Golf Boys are back officially on a golf thing. Ryder Cup last week, we were here. Wasn't exactly as I planned. I thought Europe had a real chance. Turns out that was a blowout.
Yeah, they smashed them. It was a pretty fun weekend, though, just overall with golf. It was pretty popular in the public, which was nice to kind of see some kind of the event go a little bit mainstream. My margins got absolutely screwed, so that sucks. But me being on USA was nice. USA to win singles was one of my best bets of the week for me, which was great. And it seems like USA has a pretty good game plan going forward for these Ryder Cups.
Yeah, the youth movement. I mean, you call it that, but it's really just a talent movement. They were just
Right.
significantly more talented, top to bottom. I mean, obviously Rahm did his thing. He collected 3.5 points for Europe. Just got, I mean, ran into a buzzsaw Sunday with Scotty. Otherwise, he probably would have been 4.5 points of their 10. So it'll be interesting to see how they, you know, get guys that are, we're not really thinking about right now to try to fill out the Westwood Poulter spots and
Right.
maybe the bottom half of their team spots, because I think the U.S. team, 7 or 8 of those guys are probably going to be there, and Zalatoris, Sam Burns, those type of guys are coming. So the U.S. team is in a really good spot, and the European team is probably looking around trying to figure out where their next youth movement is coming from, because that was an old team.
Yeah, they got one guy sitting down there with some promise in Victor, but I mean, other than that, it's pretty thin. You have a guy like Fitzpatrick, you're not going to be able to rely on him in the coming years. Like he's not going to be able
He's played 2 Ryder Cups and
to.
hasn't won a point.
Yeah, so that ain't gonna work. So I like the Victor Collin match after the game or after the weekend was already over was actually pretty fun to watch. We actually watched it
Yes.
together. I enjoyed that. I think Victor will have some really nice battles in the future. I just I'll be curious as to who his teammates will be.
Yep, it'll be tough going forward for them, I think. Although 2 years, the points essentially start now to start
Right.
accruing points for that. So nobody's a lock. Certainly, we saw Spieth have a couple bad years. He would not have been on that team
Right.
if it happened a year ago. So it will be fun to kind of track that and see who makes the team going forward. But we are back with actual PGA Tour events. This is going to be the second event of the 2021-2022 PGA Tour season. The Fortinet Championship happened in Napa. I think we talked about that last week. It was a couple weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
But this is the first one for us. It is the Sanderson Farms Championship in Mississippi at the Country Club of Jackson, par 72, 7,400 and some odd yards, Bermuda greens. This has been a birdie fest for the most part. Take close to 20 under to win. The Bombers have seemed to have an advantage of some sorts, although you got to putt well to win. But we've seen players who are not really good putters putt well here. So that's kind of hard to say exactly why that happened.
We've kind of seen both. We've seen good putters putt here.
We've seen Ryan Armour and Malnati win, but we've also seen Cam Champ and Sergio Garcia with his eyes closed win. So that's kind of hard to reconcile in my brain. We've seen bad putters putt way above their norm, but we've also seen good putters just kind of putt their way into this. Malnati almost won last year with just a million made putts. So for me, I think I'm going to lean Bomber and just say, if one Bomber can kind of get hot with the putter and find enough fairways, that they're just going to be wedging it all week, and that should result in a bunch of birdies.
Yeah, I kind of got a mix of putters and bombers on my card. I enjoyed this. I feel like I feel like we've been gone, for a few weeks. It felt weird doing this research, like
Yes,
looking at like Doug Gim's last rounds, right? Like I haven't done something like that in a few weeks.
Right.
It was pretty fun, so I feel good. I got a lot of good numbers. I got some interesting things to show you later, but I was excited that we're getting into that swing season right now where you start to learn about like some of these golfers coming in.
Yeah.
We'll learn a lot more about some of these Korn Ferry Tour graduates now that they're going to be playing in these events, which will be fun. And this is like the heart of that like golf betting, where it's like you kind of push past the mainstream guys and you start to learn more about these younger guys, these ball strikers. And it's just fun because if you get lucky, you can hit some big numbers, which is also fun.
Yeah, there's a whole new crop of Korn Ferry guys that we did not have last year. They did not promote 25 guys plus to the PGA Tour because of COVID and the super season that we had. So There's a lot of new names to know, and some of them are certainly going to play a factor in the season.
Right.
There's going to be guys that are going to win us some money or lose us some money here going forward at the start of the season because there's some good numbers on those guys. Some of them are well known. Like Mito Pereira, he was a Corn Ferry guy. He got 3 wins last year, so he got an automatic bump up, and we've seen him play really well. There's going to be more of those guys. These are certainly talented dudes who are just starting to get their feet wet. So.
Yeah, Pendrith's numbers were kind of dropping too. He's kind of a more well-known guy coming on.
Yep, he's played a decent amount of tour starts.
Right. Hardy's numbers weren't terrible, but we're more aware of him being in Illinois. But he's going to start playing in these events. Will be fun too.
Yeah. It will be interesting to kind of figure out how we navigate those players, and they're you and I both use Fantasy National. It's the best resource for stats, and that's how I do quite a bit of my research. And these players just don't have the stats right now. So it'll be fun to kind of watch them accumulate stats, see which players are good at what. Obviously, you can look at Corn Ferry stats and kind of get a sense of what's going on. But these are different courses, different competitions. So that's kind of – this field isn't great. So I think looking to some of those guys to, maybe pick a couple guys that you like that made their jump, or guys that, were just kind of in the bottom half of the PGA Tour last year and – take those guys this week is maybe a way to go.
Yeah, I like it. There's some names I hadn't heard of before, which is nice. It's always nice, like kind of learning some new people. But there's also a lot of guys in there where we've lost some bets on them. So it kind of brings back all those, some good, some bad memories of betting on some of these guys. But it's fun. I love it. I'm so excited to get back into the new season because that last season was fun. Patrick Cantlay winning wasn't the grandest of finishes ever, but to end with the Ryder Cup that well, seeing DJ play so well was amazing. I hope he gets back into the swing of things coming into the majors for next year. I'm excited.
Yeah, well, let's get into the betting card here. My first outright this week, Charlie Hoffman. I think the best I found him was 31-1. These numbers are quite a bit different depending on the book you look at, so be sure to shop. For me, I just can't not do it. He popped first in my model. Yeah. He was first in approach over the last 50 rounds, first in opportunities gained, first in birdies or better gained. He's top 5 in strokes gained par 4 and par 5. The par 5s here are tricky. You definitely want to score on them if you can, but the scoring hasn't been quite as good as you see week to week on par 5. So I want those players who really are going to take advantage of these par 5s. He's good there. There's a ton of wedges, so from 100 to 125 and 125 to 150, there's an abnormal amount of those shots this week. He's good there, and he's proven that he can win. He's looking for his first win since 2016. He's come close a few times over the last 6 months or so. His form's pretty good. I just kind of can't say no. He's so clearly number one in my model that I don't mind the 31-1 number.
Yeah, that's good. I actually I struggled to find some good numbers this week, which is surprising. Usually you can find them, which I think I did. But some of these guys that we like, and I think they're becoming almost too popular. So right. Their numbers are getting a little lower. But I do definitely like that number, and I have numbers are even both mine are bigger than that. I have my first one at Carlos Ortiz at 50. He was lower on other books. I bet this on Rivers already, and my next one was also on Rivers. Carlos Ortiz, ball striking has been good. He was 6th in my model over the last 24 rounds, which I like here because if he can just give himself opportunities, I think he'll have a chance to really score. He's got 2 top 5 in his last 3 starts here. Carlos Ortiz does. He has his last win, or he has his first win last year, which was in Texas, right down here in the South, which is great. Not a ton of high finishes, but he's made 9 of his last 11 cuts. I didn't love a ton of the numbers, like I said. Taking a big ball striker and a guy who has proven to come through on Sunday, I like it at 50 with, of course, Carlos Ortiz.
Yep, Carlos Ortiz is one of those guys that has the ceiling putting wise,
right?
To win an event like this. We saw him win in Houston, I think.
Yeah.
So
Houston.
He's got to win, and you can do way worse than that. And that's kind of where I'm going with my second guy, Gary Woodland, at 66-1. He's a guy he's a winner on the PGA Tour. He's just battled injuries for the last couple of years. His healthy weeks have been pretty good. I was on him at the start of last year after he had rested that hip for a while. Made a couple good starts, but he's really been up and down. But recently he's shown some good form. 22nd in approach over the last 50, 15th in birdies or better gains. So he's still making a bunch of birdies. I think it's kind of breaking the rust off and avoiding those bogeys and making, not making any big numbers. And he hits it far. That's kind of my thing this week. He's traditionally a long hitter, but he's been known to, be able to take the irons and hit those stingers that he's famous for off the tee to kind of get it in play where necessary. And I think Gary's kind of due. He's one of those guys that he clearly has the talent to win golf tournaments. He's a U.S. Open champ. If Gary puts it together, he definitely is one of the more talented guys in this field. So at 66, I just think that that's a good enough number to play him on a course that rewards long and straight driving.
I'm going to piggyback off you. This is great. I have another guy in this at 60 who's also hits it really far and really talented enough to win golf tournaments, and that's Matthew Wolff, 60-1. I think on
Definitely.
a couple of the books I looked at, he was 40, maybe even 50.
Yeah.
So I think the 60 number is great. I like him with the ceiling of his putter and his talent of ball striking all together. His putting is good on all surfaces. Not just Bermuda is good too, but I like just in general that he's a good putter. He's looking for a bounce back year coming off his problems that he had, not only physically but mentally. I liked him to have a good start coming out of the season this year on a 60 number. That's great. The number's too high compared to the guys that are in that range below him. He can have elite ball striking. He's proved it. He can be an elite ball striker. And if he does that this week, he's going to contend because his putter can hold up, especially on these greens, which we've seen a little on the easier side to read as far as how performances have been. His form isn't great, but he's a very hit or miss guy. He has been for a while now. So if we can just hit that spike week with him, and I think it's a big confidence thing with him. If he starts off well, it'll really, really help him down the stretch. He's super, super talented, and I'd like to see him get a win, and the 60 number is great because if he starts playing well, his numbers will plummet compared to that.
Yeah, he's one of those guys that, like, the ceiling is so high. We saw him almost win a PGA and a U.S. Open back-to-back. Like, he finished top 5 in both with elite tee to green numbers and plenty of putting to hold up in events like this. He's won an event that's kind of a Birdie Fest event before. He just he got hurt. He had a weird injury, and his mental health, I think he's kind of said, went to this, kind of got bad, and he had to just take some time off and figure it out. It's good to see that he's back playing. And obviously at 60-something to 1, whatever you find him at, he's better than a lot of those guys ahead of him just in sheer talent. If he starts getting it going the right direction, he can kind of be a freight train, especially on the, making birdie type side. So I don't hate that at all. That was definitely one of the guys that I considered for my picks as well.
Yeah, I probably won't have him much on the card besides to outright win, just because I have no idea how he'll perform. But if he does start to perform well and he has that kind of bounce back, mojo momentum coming at him, I don't want to miss out on the 60 on Matt Wolff. So
definitely, especially in a field like this, for sure.
Right.
Top 10s this week. I did think there was a little bit of value here, and if you want to go up top and grab a guy like Corey Connors or Zalatoris, I kind of don't blame you. You can get plus 175 or plus 180 on those guys. They're elite ball strikers in this field, but I'm going down a little bit. Mito Pereira, I mentioned him earlier. He's hopped on the PGA Tour and 3 top 6s in his last 4 starts, and super good all-around play. He's been really, really good off the tee. He hits it pretty far and pretty straight, which is going to play up here. His proximity numbers from 100 to 150 are not like superb, but they're plenty good. And he's a birdie-making guy. He's 13th in opportunities gained, 27th in birdies or better gained, 10th in bogey avoidance, so he's not making a bunch of bogeys. That way he's not going backwards. And plus 335 for a top 10, a guy who's done it 3 times in his last 4 starts in events similar to this, in fields similar to this, I think is pretty good value.
Yeah, I like it. I wanted to kind of reiterate what you said there at the top. I love Corey Connors this week. I think Corey Connors has a chance to win. It's just the number kind of sucks, and I like to bet Corey Connors when he's like a lot more value because his ball striking can be with the best. I like both of those. I can't blame anybody for betting Corey Connors this week. I have Seamus Power on the top 10. This is a little bit out of the ordinary for me with Seamus Power. This number is 275 on DraftKings. On Rivers, it's 5-1. It's almost double the value on Rivers. 5-1 for a top 10 on Seamus Power. His putter has been flaming hot as of recent. He ranks high in overall putting and Bermuda. His last missed cut was in February. February of 2021 was his last mixed cut. Handful of good finishes in there, 3 or 4 top tens, which is great. All 4 times that he's played here, he's gained on putting, which is great too. So if he's going to kind of have that confidence and that comfortability to kind of ride this wave that he's been that he finished the season with last year, I really like this number at 5, and I bet it immediately. And if you could still find it, I would also advise you to go bet it at 5-1.
Yeah, that's wild that number is that big of a difference.
Yeah.
That's kind of crazy. That's why we say this every week. Shop your numbers. There's enough books out there. Even if you're booking offshore, there's a lot of offshore books that have different numbers. Here in Illinois, DraftKings, FanDuel, Rivers, things like that. They use different people to make their lines. So, be paying attention to that. And that's one of the bigger differences you'll ever see, particularly in golf, where books are pretty similar for the most part. But
right. I think the 5-1 is probably more accurate as far as like his chances of finishing.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah.
But to know that another book and other people have been betting him down, or at least like kind of a mix of that to get to 275, it kind of just shows you how he has the talent to do it. He's on an unbelievable hot streak, including his putter, which I like here.
Definitely. Your top 20 guy, I'm interested in hearing what you have to say about him, because he was a guy that got on a really nice run at the end of last season.
Right.
And I think I bet him in a couple of tournaments. He's just a name that not a lot of people know.
Brian Stewart. This is another 5-1 bet. I have 2 5-1s for my bets, which is great. His finishes come in easy tournaments. His high finishes does. I just keep looking down the list. I have the list right here. I even have a note. So I can read them off to you. Barbasol, John Deere. What else? We got a bunch of them down here. They're all this like really easy field tournaments. The Fortinet of last year, he got 3rd. So it's just like when you see these things, 3M Open, there's another one. The Birdie Fest event, he got 6th.
Yeah.
I like him for that sort of reason, with easy finishes, makes a lot of birdies. He's a really good putter in Bermuda. He's also good with him. He hits fairways and he can make putts, which I like that for this week. I think Brian Stewart can kind of stay the game plan, kind of do what he does as a golfer, and I think he'll have a really good chance of finishing in the top 20.
Yeah, Stewart's one of those guys that certainly not a household name.
No.
Maybe he has one win. Maybe he won one of those Bermuda events. I think
he won the Zurich in 2016.
Okay, yeah, I think that was before it was like a team event too. So
right.
It's a kind of a legit win, I suppose.
So if I filter by his top. I finish by his top finishes: Zurich, OHL, Mayakoba, Fortinet, Shriners, Valero, Sanderson, Puerto Rico.
Birdies.
Those are all birdie fests. Those are all really bad fields. I like it. I think he fits the bill this week. 5-1 on a top 20.
Definitely. Yeah, I'm going another guy that nobody probably really knows for my top 20 at not quite as good of a number. Joseph Bramlett, plus 250 or 275, depending on where you look. He just won the Korn Ferry Tour Finals. He finished 1st. It was a really impressive performance. I think he shot like 21 under. He's been a guy he's popped up. I think he had his tour card last year. Wasn't able to keep it, but 7th at the Byron Nelson, 18th at the Farmers, 11th at Barbasol, 42nd at the Fortinet a couple weeks ago, but he gained almost 5 strokes on approach and 3.5 off the tee. That's Poana greens. That's a hard green to putt on. It's just way different than Bermuda. So I don't put a lot of stock in the fact that he putted bad that week. His tee to green stuff is so impressive. His iron play is so impressive that I think that taking his driving distance paired up with his ball striking and just kind of hoping for an average putting week is plenty good enough. He gained 2 strokes putting at this event last year, so clearly he putts well here or has in the past. I think that number is a pretty fair number on a guy who's playing some good golf.
He's had 3 of his last 4 weekends have been over 3 on approach gaining.
Yeah,
his striking has been awesome.
Yeah.
I really like that in this sort of field, and maybe the unknownness will help us out with this number. I like it.
Yeah, and he's 4th in driving distance in this field. He hits it really far. If he can just find enough fairways and get enough close putts, He's 10th in opportunities gained, so he's clearly hitting it close. All we really need, if his tee to green game is there, is just average putting, and that's a top 20 for him.
Yeah, I like that. We got some good value on our card. I like that a lot.
Definitely. Matchups that events like this, it sometimes gets hard for these books to put numbers out there. There wasn't a ton of numbers, but you and I are going straight down the exact same road this week with the Sergio Garcia fade.
We didn't even mean to.
No, I didn't know you picked it. I put it on my sheet, and I was like, oh, well, I guess we're just going to have to share this one. But we're taking different guys. I'm taking Will Zalatoris minus 120 over Sergio. For me, this is a Sergio fade 100%. He just played the Ryder Cup, super emotional event. He played 4 of the 5 sessions, hard-fought matches. I just don't see how he has it, motivationally, emotionally this week. Defending champ, so I'm sure he's got some BS stuff he's got to take care of as that. I doubt he really wants to be there, quite frankly. And Zalatoris is a really good fit.
I think the defending champ stuff is crap. He won this tournament with his eyes closed.
Literally.
He literally closed his eyes and putt. And he doesn't putt like that anymore. That doesn't matter at all to me. I don't think he has much motivation at all besides the fact that he won last year. That's why he's playing. I got plus 100 with Sung Jae. I think Sung Jae actually will compete to win this.
I love Sung Jae on Bermuda.
Yeah, to win this, just like that. Bermuda's his best. He's a ball striker. He gains over 4 on his last 2 attempts here, which is great. Made 9 cuts in a row for Sung Jae, playing really well all the way up until the Tour Championship, which he got to, which is great. He hasn't played since then, but that's okay. He'll be back. He's Sung Jae. No juice for him on this number, which is great because every number is juiced down because the books haven't how to place these numbers, which I don't blame him. I don't really know how to make them either. You kind of just have to match them up and just put minus 110 next to everybody. But I like the plus 100 number on a guy who I think could contend to win, and then I'll just fade Sergio because I don't think any of that stuff from last year is going to carry over.
Yeah, I can't see a scenario where he's like super geared up, especially if he gets off to a crap start. He's like, I'll just mail it in and go.
He can play well 100%. I'm not saying he can't. I just don't think the motivation's there.
If he wasn't defending champ, do you think he'd be playing this week?
No, hell no.
Yeah, there's no way. So I doubt he wanted to fly to Jackson, Mississippi to play 72 holes of golf the weekend after the Ryder Cup that they got their ass handed to them. So he's here for sponsors and for defending champ crap. I'm sure Zalatoris should be on a mission to, he probably would have made the Tour Championship last year, or been really, really close had he had the chance to play in the finals. He's looking for his first win still. This course is a perfect fit for him. Bomb it out there, wedge it, and if Cam Champ and Sergio Garcia can find a way to putt good enough to win here, I think Zalatoris has that in him somewhere. He's shown some putting form every now and then, so it's in there certainly. There's no reason not to fade Sergio this week.
I'm not going to bet the Zalatoris number because that's kind of crazy, but
minus 120.
No, to win.
Outright.
Win the tournament. But I think he has a real chance to get his first win this weekend. If he wins, it's like so fitting. Like Sergio won, putting with his eyes closed, just super ball striked his way into a win, and just kind of got lucky on the greens. That's exactly what Zalatoris needs to win. And once he gets a couple of those, he'll obviously get over the hump and hopefully turn into a really good, an elite player. I hope, but I think this fits him really, really well. I like Sung Jae and him both. To pair them up against Sergio, I think that both of them are a good value.
Yeah, definitely. You're going back to the well here on the margin bets.
The numbers are higher, which they should be because I've donated my freaking house payment to them over the last couple of months. I got 1-stroke winner at 2-1, and I got 2-stroke winner at 350. I understand we had a bad season at the end of the year. That was an abnormal amount of playoffs. Look on any freaking go to watch Golf Channel for a little bit. They talk about it all the time, and it just pisses me off. But we're on a brand new season. We're going to buck the trend. We're going back to the normal. These tournaments end between 1 and 2. They always do, and you got to keep betting it. The number's even better, which I love. So it's like, why not keep doing it? 2-1, 350 to 1. I'm going back to margins. We're going to start our hot streak this week.
I like it. I like it. For my penny stock pick of the week, I'm going to pick on one of the Corn Ferry guys. I'm just going to take my chance, like I talked about earlier, and I'm going to go with Trey Molinax plus 270 to top 40. I'm going down the bomber route. He just bombs it. He hits it super, super far. Quite frankly, I don't know a lot other than that. He finished second in the Corn Ferry Tour Finals, so he's clearly playing some good golf. He missed the cut at the Fortinet, but he didn't really lose a lot in any category. I think it just really wasn't a good fit for him. If he can find enough fairways hitting it super, super far, I think that that's going to play really well this week.
Molinax was born in Alabama and went to Alabama too.
Yeah, he's a South guy, and I think he had some PGA Tour experience, if I'm not mistaken. He's played some events off and on the PGA Tour. With the Corn Ferry guys, you kind of just got to see, pick a guy that you like and take a chance. His average driving distance last year on the Corn Ferry Tour was 320 yards. That's really far. And he was 35th in putts per green. That's good. 10th in eagles per hole, 51st in birdie average. So he's making some birdies. And clearly he's playing good golf, second Corn Ferry Tour Finals. So plus 270 on a top 40. That's basically just like hope he makes the cut and you get plus money.
Right. Yeah, I like it. I mean, let's take flyers on these guys while, and try to find some value. Let's go on to favorite bet of the week. Who do you got?
I'm going with Aaron Wise, top 20. There was quite a while where I really wasn't an Aaron Wise guy. He was just a little too up and down for me.
He takes my money is what he does. Every time I bet on him, he doesn't play well.
He's been pretty inconsistent in his career, but during the summer last year and going into the, where we are now, he's made 9 straight cuts with 7 or 6 top 25 finishes. He's playing clearly the best golf of his career. He's won on tour. And at plus 225 on a top 20 when he's playing this good, he falls into the Taylor Gooch category for me, where you pull up his fantasy national stats and it's a checkerboard. It's not like some of the other guys where they clearly do the same thing every time. He always gains off the tee. He's a straight hitter. He's not necessarily a long one, but he finds the fairway a lot, which here isn't like the name of the game, but it does help. There are certain holes where you definitely have to be in the fairway. It definitely helps on the par 5s because of the kind of the trickiness of their holes. His problem typically is the putter can get super, super cold. But he's he's putted well recently. He's gained at least 2 strokes putting in 2 of his last 3. I just like his profile for here. And 17th at the Sanderson last year, and 39th the year before, 25th in 2017. He clearly, he's had some success here. I just think that given his form, that number is pretty fair.
Yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. And I'm going to go to a guy for my best bet of the week on the top 30 at 4-1. This is really good value, I think, also. I have a bunch of good value on my card. I actually really like it. This guy gained 8.5 strokes putting last year, has made the cut every time he's played in the Sanderson 5 times. He got 3rd and 11th in his last 2 times here. He's a really, 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 really good Bermuda putter. He's better in easy scoring events. His form is not great. Don't go look at it. That's okay. He's a spike guy.
But your grandma hits it farther than him.
It's okay. JT posting top 30 on a 4-1. This is a putter play. This is a great note. I think 4-1 on top 30 is great because he's clearly good here, and his putting, he knows what he's doing. When you get greens that are relatively easy compared to the rest, and you have really, really good putters, they tend to putt really, really well. That's just kind of how elite skills work with professional athletes. So I think this has great value. Hopefully he'll be in like the 20th range and won't have to sweat it out, because if he's in like the 35th range, like he's bound to finish like 32nd. So that's not good. Yeah.
Poston is one of those guys that if he has a good ball striking week, it's money, because he's a consistently good putter.
Yeah, he's good.
His ceiling is super, super high, but his floor of putting is really good, particularly on Bermuda.
Right.
It's just, does he have the ball striking that week? He's done really well here, so he clearly feels comfortable. I don't hate that bet at all. Yeah, those are our picks for the Sanderson this week. I think that, if you're going to go out and look for some stuff to think about yourself, I would lean guys that hit it pretty far, and Bermuda putters. If you can match up a guy who hits it pretty far and putts well on Bermuda, those are the two most important things to me, at least this week.
Yeah, and shop around. We need to keep saying that because this week itself was huge. Like
Yes.
that top 10 on Seamus Power is not. I honestly, I don't think I've ever seen one is that big, especially between two pretty big books here in Illinois.
Yeah.
I love that number. A lot of good value out there. I'm rooting for Matt Wolff this week, so I'll say there.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that there's between all these Korn Ferry guys and a few of the PGA Tour guys that maybe didn't have the season they were looking for last year, we're going to see some guys pop this fall.
Yes.
To maybe start riding. So that's one thing that I want both of us to think about going forward. Who's somebody this week and at the Fortinet and maybe next week that is showing a little bit of form that the numbers aren't quite catching up to because just nobody's heard of them. I think there's some money to be made here in the fall, particularly with all these Korn Ferry guys.
Yeah, it's going to be like a Tringali-esque type guy, something like that. Where in the old, the OG Harris English numbers we used to get, which were crazy. Which is like then he won 3 events in a tour year, which is insane.
Yeah, we were getting Harris English at plus 250 on top 20s for months and just nailing them every week. I was like, wow, this is just free money. So and then Charlie Hoffman had to run like that last summer too. So
we'll find them.
They're out there, and I think as we start getting some more info about these Korn Ferry guys and getting to watch them with our own eyes, you can see what they're good at and see how the courses fit here going forward. But good luck this week. Shop your numbers, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah, we'll be back tomorrow though for basketball.
Yep, basketball. Next 10 teams of our season preview on over-unders are tomorrow. People seem to like the first one. We had quite a few views, so tune back in. We'll be live at 7:30, and then it'll be posted on our YouTube page after. And there's some interesting teams tomorrow night. Both LA teams, Miami. Be fun.
Justin, we both locked the Nets, and we found out Kyrie might miss literally the entire season today, so that's not good.
I'm not pumped about that, certainly, but we'll discuss that at the top tomorrow night. Okay. So tune in, 7:30. Peace out.